In case you didn't notice, there is a virus going around that has caused a global pandemic. I am a full-time musician who plays all sorts of live shows for a living. I usually play 3 to 4 concerts a week. However, all my gigs have been canceled indefinitely because of the coronavirus, so I'm performing from my apartment in an attempt to keep my music train moving through the world. Stop in and listen, say hello from a distance, and throw some money in my tip jar on your way out. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Fast Heart Mart podcast. This week I'm going to show an old documentary that my friend Rob Nakai made back in Albuquerque back in 2005. Come on! I am your host, Fast Heart Mart. If you want to know why I'm called Fast Heart Mart, just look it up. But first, I'd like to mention that this podcast is brought to you by Maria Dawes in Alabama for becoming a patron last week. Also, Norma in San Diego for tipping for the jokes that I was telling. Tom Lev in San Francisco, she tipped me and encouraged me to keep going. She's also a songwriter up there in San Francisco. She's great. Lisa Getz in San Diego tipped me for Buskers Fund. She's also a patron. We're going to remind you guys again, if you want to support this podcast through my Patreon, that would be great. If I get about 300 or 400 patrons donating every month, this will be really sustainable. I went busking for the first time last week. I went down by the water, and that went well for about an hour, and then a cop came up on a boat behind me. It's so weird to be busted by a cop on a boat, but he came up from behind me on a boat and told me that I wasn't allowed to play music down there because he didn't want anybody stopping to listen, which makes sense. He was very friendly about it, but nonetheless, I don't feel comfortable going back there to do any busking. I did find a couple places where people are standing in line at grocery stores, and my friend, the typewriter troubadour, who I'm going to be having on here in a few episodes, he gave me a couple tips of some grocery stores that are going well. Yeah, I'm from Virginia and stuff, so.
How'd you end up out here?
I got married to a girl and followed her out here. Well, she was already out here, and then I married her, and I said, well, if we're going to be married, we have to live in the same place, right? So she was living out here, so. And then now we're divorced, so. It's better this way. We're still friends and stuff, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really good friends and stuff, yeah. She dates mostly girls now, so.
Oh, okay.
And I actually have my parents in town. I think I'm going to interview them for the next episode of this podcast. So they're in town, and I got to spend some time with them. So I don't have much time to do a full podcast this week, you know, with music and all that stuff. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to show this documentary. Right now I'm working on the best band I've ever had. We're called the Sidewalkers. I'm called Fast Heart Mart, of course. Still. Everybody knows me as Fast Heart Mart because I have a fast heart sometimes. I have to admit, I am a little bit out of it too. I just had so much going on this week. I'm hoping things calm down, but with all the gardening, and I'm trying to do a little bit of video editing work for people, and teaching banjo lessons and this podcast, and there's just a lot going on, and sometimes I feel pretty overwhelmed. And I'm only telling you this because maybe it's going to make some of you feel better about where you're at with all this too, because we're not alone in this. We're all going through a lot of struggles right now and trying to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to get through it. And it's okay to admit when you're overwhelmed and not feeling well. Sometimes you just got to relax and wait for the right inspiration to strike. Instead of getting too upset and doing something stupid, just relax and let the answers arise. Basically, kind of the sidewalkers, because we play a lot of street gigs. And we play acoustically most of the time. Well,
My name is Peter Gallo.
The bassist. He is very interesting person. He always shows up for practice on time, which is good. And he always shows up for the shows, which is really great. And we've done a little bit of touring with him, and he's pretty good on the road too. And then the other sidewalker is actually my girlfriend,
Robin Crawford.
And she is the drummer. And she plays a snare drum and a hi-hat and a little splash cymbal and a little tambourine. And she also sings. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. I kind of did. It was also cringe-worthy at times, but I got through it, and I hope you got something out of it as well. That would be, I don't know, probably some hardcore Fast Heart Mart fans will really appreciate that, I think. Okay, well, I'll see you next week, God willing. Thanks for watching, and be peaceful out there, everybody, and healthy. See you next time. Bye. Yeah. Well, one day, hopefully, my stuff will make it to the Smithsonian Folkways.
But I do like to say this.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
how
when people
important
ask me and they demand.
You know, people will be listening to
what's
it.
going
Wow,
on.
check this guy. I was here like for a little while. And
Say Fast Heart Mart
Otherwise, I'll
is.
be obscure.
Well, Fast Heart Mart has.
It always sounds
bad.
like
Whatever you say about
Clarence
Martin's
Ashley.
nominated
All
3
those
times
guys.
Grammy
All
Award
those
winner.
guys.
Blah
Cool
blah
guys.
blah. And that's pretty much the whole concept behind Fast Heart Mart.